I'm standing on my own back deck at our anniversary party, beer in my hand. Just trying to steal 2 quiet minutes because my wife's whole family had shown up, and they were draining every bit of energy I had. Then I catch the voices drifting up from the lower patio. My wife, her sister Natasha, and their mother Valentina, wine glasses clinking, convinced the music blasting inside would cover them. My wife launches right into it. I'm 34 and still a complete dead end. No promotion in 10 years at the same job. She's just marking time until she can file and walk away with everything. The house, the savings, the lot. Natasha bursts out laughing and says she really picked a useless one, didn't she? Should have listened to Mom and married that doctor they introduced her to back in 2019. Conrad, or whatever his name was. And Valentina, my mother-in-law, the woman I've treated with nothing but respect for 6 straight years, adds that she always told her daughter I'd never amount to anything. Look at him. Same dead-end job, same dead-end life. They toast and laugh like it's the funniest joke in the world. Man, just picture it. He's literally standing right above them on his own deck, paying for the caterers they're stuffing their faces with, while they're down there clinking glasses and planning to clean him out. The nerve is actually breathtaking. These 3 women huddled in their little wine circle, acting like they're pulling off the heist of the century, except the only thing they're stealing is basic decency. And Valentina, after 6 years of him remembering her birthday, bringing flowers, playing the perfect son-in-law, she's the one confirming she always knew he was trash. I warned her he'd never make it. Lady, you've been eating his Thanksgiving turkey for half a decade. Maybe try a little gratitude. Here's what they never saw coming. I've known exactly how this family really feels about me since year 2. Chelsea's people come from money. Her dad, Paul, built a solid contracting company from the ground up, sold it, and retired early. Gated community, luxury cars, European vacations. I grew up in a cramped 2-bedroom with a single mom pulling double shifts at a nursing home. They never let me forget the difference. Every holiday, every dinner, little digs about my salary, my car, my so-called potential. Valentina once asked my wife right at the Thanksgiving table if she was sure she wanted to stay with someone who had such limited drive. I kept my mouth shut because I loved my wife, and I honestly believed she defended me in private. I was wrong. She was nodding right along the whole time. 6 years thinking I had a real partner while she was just waiting for the moment. The divorce math finally made sense. That's what kills me about people who inherit their lifestyle versus the ones who build it. Paul actually earned every dollar, 20 years of grinding. But Valentina and the daughters just showed up after the hard part was done and somehow decided they were superior. Limited ambitions. They're judging his ambitions while their entire world is bankrolled by someone else. And my wife, sitting at those family dinners letting her mom question our marriage while she just smiled and agreed. That's not being stuck in the middle. That's picking a side and being too spineless to say it out loud. She wanted the benefits of being married to me and the approval of her family by trashing me behind closed doors. Playing both sides until the cash-out window opened. Unreal. But here's the part they never knew. I'm not stupid and I'm not unprepared. About 14 months ago, I started a quiet side hustle. Nothing shady, nothing illegal, just something I built in the background while she thought I was gaming in the basement or working late. I never told a soul. Not my friends, not even my coworker Aiden, who I trust more than most. Nobody except me and my laptop. The night of the party, after I heard every word, I walked back inside smiling, poured another drink, and gave a toast about love, trust, and how lucky I was to have such an amazing family by marriage. My wife kissed my cheek. Valentina raised her glass. Natasha snapped a picture for Instagram, and I stood there thinking everything is about to change. 3 weeks have passed. I've been busy. Really busy. This morning, my wife opened something I've been waiting months for her to see. The look on her face made every insult, every laugh, every clink of those glasses worth it. I know some of you are going to say I should have confronted her the night of the party. Maybe. But you don't know what it feels like to realize the person you married has been planning to rob you blind while her family cheers her on. You don't just react, you prepare. I'll post an update soon with exactly what she saw and what I've been building. Right now, I'm sitting in a hardware store parking lot typing this because I needed to get out of the house and process what just happened. But trust me, the moment they realized I wasn't the pathetic pushover they'd spent 6 years laughing at was priceless. More soon. This guy stood up and gave a whole speech about love and trust while inside he was writing the script for the greatest plot twist of his life. His wife kissed his cheek. Natasha took the photo. That Instagram post is going to age like milk left in the sun. But what I really respect is the 14 months of silence. 14 months of letting them think they were the smartest people in the room while he was quietly becoming untouchable. Most people would have exploded that night, confronted her, given her time to regroup. But he understood something important. When someone shows you they see you as prey, you don't warn the predator you've grown teeth. You wait until they're fully committed to the attack, then you show them how badly they miscalculated. Update 1. All right, back. A lot of you asked what my wife saw this morning and what I've actually been building. Here it is. 14 months ago, I started taking freelance consulting jobs on the side. I work in supply chain logistics, and companies will pay serious money for someone who can tighten shipping routes and vendor contracts. I began small, just a couple of clients from an old contact. It grew fast. I was working nights and weekends while she thought I was downstairs gaming or staying late at the office. I set up an LLC, opened a separate business account, and by last month I was clearing more from consulting than my regular salary. What she found was a letter from my accountant confirming the latest quarterly earnings. I left it right on the kitchen counter, not hidden, not flashy, just sitting there next to the coffee maker where she always sets her phone while she makes breakfast. She picked it up thinking it was junk mail, and her face went completely blank. The placement was pure psychological chess. He'd studied her morning routine like a nature documentary and put the trap exactly where she'd walk into it. She grabbed it as junk because in her mind, anything with his name on it couldn't possibly matter. Then reality hit her at 7 in the morning while she was still in her bathrobe. Good morning. The husband you've been calling a loser has been outturning your expectations the whole time you were planning his financial funeral. She walked into the living room holding the letter and asked what it was. I told her exactly. My business, my income, my money, earned while she was busy mapping out how to take everything I had. Then she flipped the script, not angry, suddenly sweet. This is amazing, why didn't you tell me? We're a team. We should celebrate together. The same woman who called me a loser 3 weeks ago is now rubbing my shoulders telling me how proud she is. I asked her straight if she remembered what she said on the patio that night. She denied it at first. You must have misheard. When I repeated her exact words, she switched to, it was just venting. That's what sisters do. Natasha was complaining about her husband too. It didn't mean anything. Watch how fast she ran through the playbook. Sweet and supportive, denial, minimization, 3 different tactics in under a minute. The shoulder rub. The I'm so proud of you. 21 days ago she was toasting what a failure I was. Now she's proud? No, she's recalculating. The asset she thought was worthless just tripled in value, so the timeline and strategy changed on the spot. But I wasn't finished. I brought up the house. It's in both names, but the entire down payment came from my savings. I have the bank records. For 6 years, she's covered roughly 30% of the bills while I paid the mortgage, insurance, and taxes. I've kept every receipt, every date, every amount. She started crying. Said I was being cruel, that marriage isn't about keeping score. I reminded her she was the one who'd been keeping a divorce scoreboard in the family group chat for months. That's when things escalated. Natasha showed up. My wife had texted her during the conversation, and Natasha drove over ready to help handle me. She walked in and immediately started telling me I was overreacting, punishing my wife for a private conversation, being controlling by hiding money. I told Natasha she should probably worry about her own marriage, since according to my wife, she complains about her husband constantly too. Natasha turned red. I told her she had no right to come into my house and lecture me about my marriage when she'd been encouraging my wife to leave me for years. My wife tried to calm things, but Natasha was already on the phone calling their mother. 20 minutes later, Valentina pulled into the driveway. Now I've got all 3 of them in my living room, and Valentina is demanding answers. I'm standing there thinking, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. All of them together, all of them finally realizing the pathetic loser they'd mocked for 6 years had been 3 steps ahead the entire time. But what happened next got complicated, and I need to tell you about Paul, my wife's father, because he changes everything. More in the next update. Update 2. Here's what you need to know about Paul. Unlike the rest of them, he actually earned everything he has. Built his contracting business from nothing, ground it out for 20 years, then sold it. He's the only one who ever treated me with real respect. Asked about my job, remembered details, gave me career advice. I think he saw a younger version of himself in me, a guy trying to make it without a safety net. So when Valentina called him and he showed up, things got interesting. Valentina told him I'd been hiding money, threatening divorce, being cruel. But Paul didn't jump in on her side. He asked me directly what happened. I told him everything, the patio conversation, years of comments about my income, my wife's divorce plan. Paul listened quietly. Valentina started getting agitated because he wasn't automatically defending their daughter. When I finished, Paul asked my wife if it was true. She tried to dodge, but he cut her off. Simple yes or no. She finally admitted she'd said things she shouldn't have, but I was blowing it out of proportion. Paul is the only person in that family who actually understands what it takes to build something. 20 years from zero. He knows real work when he sees it, and he knows coasting when he sees it. Valentina was visibly frustrated. She'd expected him to roll in and put the son-in-law back in his place. Instead, Paul started asking questions. He listened. Because self-made people recognize the game, he asked Valentina if she was there that night. She went vague. It was just girl talk, I don't remember exactly. Paul wasn't buying it. He reminded her of every comment she'd made at family dinners, every time she questioned my wife's choice to marry me. He'd let it slide to keep the peace, but he hadn't realized how far it had gone. Natasha jumped in, saying this was about me hiding money, not some old party conversation. Paul asked if she was part of it too. Natasha went quiet. I told him Natasha had suggested my wife should have married the doctor instead. Paul's face changed. He never liked Conrad. Called him arrogant and said he treated my wife badly when they dated. He'd been relieved when she chose me. The room got heavy. Valentina accused Paul of taking my side over his own family. Paul said he was trying to understand why his wife and daughters had been undermining his daughter's marriage for years. My wife was crying. Natasha was texting. The usual excuses, just girl talk. I don't remember exactly, the words people use when they know exactly what they said and hope vagueness will save them. Then I dropped the real bomb. I'd already met with a divorce attorney 2 weeks earlier. Because I paid the full down payment and covered 70% of household expenses with documented proof, my lawyer believes I have a strong case to keep the house. My wife's plan to take everything wasn't going to work. Valentina called me a snake, said I'd been planning behind my wife's back. I reminded her she'd been planning to rob me behind mine. At least I was honest about it. Paul stood up and said he needed time to think, told Valentina they were leaving. She protested, but he walked out. She followed, arguing the whole way down the driveway. That left me with my wife and Natasha. Then Natasha's phone buzzed. Her husband Aiden had just seen the family group chat she accidentally left open on their shared tablet at home. Turns out the 3 women had been discussing my wife's divorce strategy for months in that chat. More in the final update. Final update. Aiden saw everything. Months of messages about when my wife should file, how to position herself for maximum assets, Valentina suggesting she start moving small amounts out of our joint account into a private one. Natasha recommending a divorce lawyer her coworker used. Aiden took screenshots before Natasha realized and deleted the chat, then drove straight to our house. He walked in while Natasha was still there and asked her point-blank how long she'd been helping her sister plan to destroy my life. Natasha tried the "it was just hypothetical, just sisters venting" line. Aiden wasn't having it. He told her that if she could help plan this against me, she could do the same to him someday. Now Natasha's marriage is in serious trouble because of my wife's scheme. And honestly, I don't feel bad about it at all. Natasha spent years mocking me at family dinners, encouraging my wife to leave, laughing about what a loser I was. Now her own husband doesn't trust her. Aiden's question, if you could help plan this against him, what's to stop you from doing it to me, should haunt every person in that group chat, because he's right. The only difference is she hadn't been caught yet. My wife tried one last time that night after everyone left. She sat down and said we could work through this. She admitted her family was toxic, said she got caught up in their negativity, claimed she never actually planned to go through with the divorce. Asked if we could go to counseling, start fresh, forget everything. I told her no. Not because I'm heartless, but because I spent 6 years thinking I had a partner while she was coordinating with her mother and sister on how to take everything I'd worked for. That's not a mistake. That's not venting. That's a plan. And I refuse to spend another day married to someone who sees me as an ATM to drain when the timing is right. The divorce is moving forward. My attorney now has the group chat screenshots from Aiden, my financial records proving I paid 70% of everything, and documentation of my separate business income that started after I learned about her plan, so she has no claim to it. The house situation is complicated, but my lawyer is confident. As for the family, it's falling apart. Paul confronted Valentina and they've been fighting nonstop. He told me privately that he's ashamed of how his wife and daughters behaved and that he always thought I was a good husband to my wife. That meant something to me, even if it doesn't change anything. Valentina tried calling me last week to apologize, said she never meant for things to go this far, that she was just being protective of her daughter. I told her protective mothers don't help their daughters plan to rob their son-in-law. She hung up. My wife is staying with Natasha now, which is ironic because Natasha's marriage is also crumbling. Last I heard, Aiden moved into their guest room and is talking to his own attorney. Some of you asked if I regret not confronting my wife the night of the party. Honestly, no. If I'd blown up then, I would have been the angry husband making a scene. Instead, I waited, I prepared, and when the moment came, I had everything I needed. My business, my documentation, my lawyer. They spent 6 years calling me a loser with no ambition. Turns out the loser was quietly building an exit strategy the whole time. I just never felt the need to brag about it at family dinners. I'm moving into my own apartment next month, starting fresh at 34 with a growing business and zero tolerance for anyone who sees me as less than. Not the ending my wife's family expected when they clinked those wine glasses, but definitely the one they earned. The domino effect is wild. One overheard conversation on a patio. One man standing on his own deck at the right moment, and now 2 marriages are ending. One is in crisis. The family matriarch is getting hung up on when she tries to apologize, and the whole dynamic has shattered. Valentina said she was just being protective. Protective of what? My wife had a husband who paid 70% of the bills, built a successful side business right under her nose, and stayed loyal until he had ironclad proof she was planning to rob him. What exactly was she being protected from? Stability. A man with real ambition. They invented a story that made them feel superior, and now they get to live with the consequences.